The Supreme Court looks at going after 230, deciding whether or not it is legal, what comes out of it, and a few other details. So we'll go over some of what's coming in the case and what goes on with that, and what this could mean for your news consumption early in the morning from an alternative source. In other news, the GOP is ready to come back and file another lawsuit against the student loan forgiveness, and Biden, while he comes out and is strong about it and says, oh, come on, man, we're going to do this out here, he's secretly licking his chops, knowing he has himself a nice big midterm issue. So we'll go over some of that and where we go with that and what happens with that. Darrell Brooks from my neck of the woods is back in the news because it appears that he's fired his lawyer and is going to be representing himself, and has also disrupted his first day of hearing. So we'll be talking just a bit about that and where we go from there and what happens with that. And just a little bit in the spirit of fun before we head out of here, before we get into some of the backlog news here, we do have one little clip of Florida men claiming that they are extreme Democrats but still deciding that they are going to vote for DeSantis. It is going to be all of this and more. Welcome back to midterm season. I am Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. I think I gave myself a cold. I don't know. Excuse me. I woke up absolutely exhausted this morning, like not ready, not wanting to move. Luckily, we had a short stack for news for the day. I don't know if I just missed a whole bunch because I wasn't paying attention to it through the entire day. I drove for most of the day yesterday. After we got done with Contemporary, I had to take a very short day trip, road trip, and that meant being in the vehicle for 6 hours. So I wasn't paying attention to a lot of the current news like I usually get from Twitter or other social media sites. But I know I looked through Daily Wire and Blaze and a couple other aggregators that I use. I'm like, there's not a lot going on. So, but then again, I went to bed and I got a little bit of sniffle this morning that I don't know if I can attribute to the allergies. Hey, maybe it's the coof. Maybe I should go get one of those nose tests and shove a Q-tip into my brain. I'm not sure. I mostly know that I woke up exhausted. It's a little bit cold in here, but that's also because it's only 60 degrees in here. It's probably colder in the bedroom because that window is open. But the news stops for nobody, so we are here. We're ready to go, and we've got to talk about it over here on Contemporary. Before we get started, make sure you guys go check out great programming such as The Daily Ignoramus, The Breakdown with Breckenhoff, The R-Rated Conservative, The Porch Boys. Go check out Tweets by Brit, KTZed. Go check out Mr. Behavior. He'll be going back in a political commentary soon. He's finishing up with school in a very, very left-wing field. I've had this conversation with him before. He is in a quite left-wing field, so he wants to just keep his nose to the grindstone, get through school, get through the good grades, and get out and get the good job. So we will see what happens with that. And also go check out PJ Patriot and the No Gimmicks podcast. Great programming, dedicated to bringing you news by the common man for the common man. So I recommend and highly, personally, every one of those shows I just mentioned. So let's get out of that. Let's shift gears. Let's get into news of the day. We're going to start with finance. A couple changes to the lineup here. I'm not going to do this every day like I typically do, but I did add on the top of the show the polling for the next 3 weeks. We're going to look at the presidential approval poll, what's happening with that, the generic congressional ballot, and we are going to look at a couple of the top races as well. So I've got RCP up at the top. That's going to come after finance. We'll look into some of that, and then we'll get into the main news of the day. Starting with the Dow. Let's get the live chat up here for you. I enjoy the live chat for the music stream that I'm using to put the background music up, but it isn't you guys, and I like you guys. Looking at the Dow is up to 29,490.89. The Dow actually jumped 750 points yesterday. Honk honk. Hurry up, buy it. We've got to make it look good before the midterms. I don't know if that's what happened yesterday, but I'm willing to bet that there was at least one conversation in a boardroom or a strategy office or somewhere for a Democrat strategist somewhere saying, hey, BlackRock, how much more taxpayer money do you need? Buy, make these numbers go up. And it's looking like futures are turning back up too. They're talking about another market rally, but we're going to be starting to get some economic news here, and I don't think it's going to make it. I think a lot of this is going to collapse right before everybody has to go out to the polls and figure out their midterms. So we will see what happens with this and where this goes. Your Bitcoin, for all of you who hold a lot of Bitcoin here, is at 19,968.80. Looks like there was a sweep down and then a jump back up earlier this morning, and it's held steady through the rest of the morning, bringing us out to the 5-day. Looking and seeing what we have coming up here, looks like, yes, we saw the major spike and settle back again, and a somewhat steady climb with two bigger jumps going along the way. So we will continue to watch this and see what happens with the Bitcoin, because, you know, if you can't mold it, you should probably be holding it. Isn't that how they go, Ron Helton? No, I'm just joking. I know that Bitcoin is not the ideal, because you should be investing in gold, silver, and ammo at this point. This is not official financial advice. But I know a lot of people like it, a lot of people hold it, and it's one of the most liquid things that you can sell off if you need to get that money to buy diapers, gas, food, or etc. in a hurry, in a very, very quick order. So that's why we keep it up here. That's why we pay attention to what's happening with it, because its liquidity gives us an extreme short-term view on where the economy is headed. So we will see what happens with this. Looking in at the fuel. It's a good thing I did my trip yesterday. Good God, I didn't look at this before we got started. I looked and saw where the map was, but I didn't look at the numbers. But you know all those ones that said 4.00 yesterday? Yeah, it looks like they're all at 420 right now. Excuse me. Coming out here, looking out, the Costco has no price listed, but the Quick Trip and the Exxon out on the west side going towards Middleton are at 420. The Speedway is at 420 out past the Arboretum. Going over on the east side, the 389s have come up to 396. The Amoco is holding at 390, which is impressive. The Quick Trip has jumped up to 420 as well, so yeah, it's not good news. What did I put in at 399 yesterday? Yeah, 399. But I use Shell gas, so I'll get a little bit more fuel economy out of it for the little bit of time that I have it in there. But yeah, we'll continue to watch this and see where this goes. There is some external force off of this. Now, of course, we should be drilling in this country. We absolutely should, to try to keep the energy costs down. But we also have OPEC Plus cutting production right now because, hey, we don't like how fast the gas prices are dropping, so we need to line our pockets, is the official narrative that we're getting off of that. I don't know if that's actually true or not. I'm going to tell you that right off the bat. I think that this might be a little bit of a propaganda out here to make us hate the Saudis, but still beg for their gasoline. And there is also a major natural disaster right now, so some things to keep in mind as we look into this. I do think that this is going to come down off of where it's at right now before the vote in November. So we will see what happens with that and where this goes. Let's grab one from IBD for the morning. Dow surges 765 points to start new stock market rally attempt. What to do now? They're going to give you advice, and I'm probably going to give you the opposite advice. But fortunately for you, my advice is not official financial advice because I'm not a financial advisor and I can't give you that. I can make suggestions, I can look at where the market's going, but I cannot give you official financial advice. From Scott Latonin. Dow futures were sharply higher ahead of Tuesday's open. A new market rally attempt started on Monday. No, that's not a market rally. As the Dow surged 765 points. On Monday, the Dow surged 2.7%, leading the stock market higher. The S&P climbed 2.6%, and the tech-heavy NASDAQ composite rallied 2.3%. The small-cap Russell advanced 2.65%. Among the ETFs, the NASDAQ and Vesco QQQ Trust moved up 2.35%, and the SPDR S&P 500 rose 2.6%. Key earnings reports this week are coming from Acuity Brands, Conagra, Constellation Brands, and McCormick. GM reported its third quarter auto sales Monday, outpacing expectations on strong demand and better vehicle availability. GM shares rallied 2.4% on Monday, but are still more than 50% off their 52-week high. Tesla dove 8.6% after missing deliveries estimates. Among the Dow Jones stocks, Apple traded up 3.1%, while Microsoft climbed 3.4% in today's stock market. In the ongoing market weakness, Murphy, Neurocrine Biosciences, Vertex, and World Wrestling Entertainment, the WWE, is back in the markets and back in the news. As well as Dow stock United Health are among the top stocks to watch. Keep in mind that the ongoing market correction is a time for investors to sit on the sidelines and construct watch lists. Vertex is a recent addition to the IBD leaderboard. Murphy USA was featured in this week's Stocks Nearby Zone column, along with 3 other top stocks. On the futures, ahead of Tuesday's opening bell, Dow rose 1.35 versus fair value. The S&P gained 1.6, and the NASDAQ moved up 2 full percent versus fair value. Remember, overnight action in Dow futures and elsewhere doesn't necessarily translate to actual trading in the next regular stock market session. So it looks like everything's rocketing up to the moon, and honestly, I don't buy it. I really don't. Especially when I saw that number on the gas pump, when I went to go back and fill the truck up. I don't buy any of this. But we will see what happens with this. The 10-year yield fell significantly to 3.65 on Monday. Last week, the 10-year yield briefly topped 4%, which it hadn't done in more than a decade. Meanwhile, U.S. oil prices jumped more than 4% on Tuesday, as West Texas Intermediate futures traded above $83 a barrel. Last week, they fell to their lowest level of the year. On Wednesday, OPEC Plus will meet to consider a production cut in order to help prop up falling oil prices. Do keep in mind, I believe all but 2 of the OPEC countries are specifically allied with Russia. I don't believe it's all of them. I think it's all but 2. So do keep that in mind as you look back and see the propaganda surrounding all this, and whether or not it's, we're just going to cut production because we don't want the price to fall that much. Or if there is actually something to this. I think that's propaganda, honestly. But still, I think that we should be drill baby drilling, and we won't have to worry about this. But that's what we see coming off of that. Let's grab an interesting article from CNN. One that you didn't think you'd actually see coming off of this here. So, scrolling down, 5 signs the world is headed for a recession. This is an analysis, which means an op-ed, from Allison Morrow. Around the world, markets are flashing warning signs that the global economy is teetering on a cliff's edge. The question of a recession is no longer if, but when. Well, see, the when was back in January, and the official announcement for that was at the end of June, when we found out that we are officially in a 2-quarter reduction. But now, if we get another reduction here, we can just go back and redefine that once again. It's not really a recession yet. And as I predicted a while ago, I don't think they're going to start calling it a recession until the new Speaker of the House is seated. I think it's going to be Kevin McCarthy, which makes a chill run up and down my spine. But it is what it is. They're not going to label it a recession until the new Congress is seated, a new Republican majority is in at least the House, and they have a new set of punching bags that they can use, so they don't have to direct anything at the president, or possibly at this point, the first whamming president. Over the past week, the pulse of those flashing red lights quickened as markets grappled with reality, once speculative, now certain that the Federal Reserve will press on with its most aggressive monetary tightening campaign in decades to wring inflation from the U.S. economy, even if it means triggering a recession. And even if it comes at the expense of consumers and businesses for beyond U.S. borders. There is now a 98% chance of a global recession, according to research from the firm Ned Davis, which brings some sobering historical credibility to the table. The firm's recession probability reading has only been this high twice, in 2008 and in 2020. And we didn't even get a recession in 2020 because it came back. By the next quarter, we had growth again. When economists warn of a downturn, they're typically basing their assessment on a variety of indicators. Let's unpack 5 key trends. The mighty U.S. dollar. The U.S. dollar plays an outsized role in the global economy and international finance. Yes, the oil dollar. And right now, it's stronger than it's been in 2 decades. The simplest explanation comes back to the Fed. When the central bank raises interest rates, as it's been doing since March, it makes the dollar more appealing to investors around the world. In any economic climate, the dollar is seen as a safe place to park your money. In a tumultuous climate, the global pandemic, say, or war in Eastern Europe, investors have even more incentive to purchase dollars, usually in the form of U.S. government bonds. While a strong dollar is a nice perk for Americans traveling abroad, it creates headaches for just about everyone else. The value of the pound, the euro, the yuan, and the yen, among many others, has tumbled. That makes it more expensive for those nations to import essential items, like food and fuel. In response, central banks that are already fighting pandemic-induced inflation wind up raising rates higher and faster to shore up the value of their own currencies. The dollar's strength also creates a destabilizing effect for Wall Street, as many of the S&P 500 companies do business around the world. By one estimate from Morgan Stanley, each 1% rise in the dollar index has a negative 0.5% impact on S&P 500 earnings. The number one driver of the world's largest economy is shopping. And America's shoppers are tired. After more than a year of rising prices and just about everything, with wages not keeping up, consumers have pulled back. The hardship caused by inflation means that consumers are dipping into their savings, EY Parthenon chief economist Gregory Dacko said in a note on Friday. The personal saving rate in August remained unchanged at only 3.5%, Dacko said, near its lowest rate since 2008 and well below the pre-COVID levels of around 9%. Once again, the reason behind the pullback has a lot to do with the Fed. Corporate America tightening its belt, not hiring as much. Let's see, businesses have been booming across industries for the bulk of the pandemic era, even with historically high inflation eating into profits. That is thanks once again to the tenacity of American shoppers, as businesses were largely able to pass on their higher costs to consumers to cushion profit margins, but the earnings bonanza may not last. In mid-September, one company, whose fortune served as a kind of economic bellwether, gave investors a shock. FedEx, which operates in more than 200 countries, unexpectedly revised its outlook, warning that demand was softening and earnings were likely to plunge more than 40%. In an interview, the CEO was asked whether he believes the slowdown was a sign of the looming global recession. "I think so," he responded. "Those numbers, they don't portend very well." And of course, the bear territory, which we talked about in the last article. Plus, war, soaring prices, and radical policies collide. Nowhere is this collision of economic, financial, and political calamities more painfully visible than in the UK. Like the rest of the world, the UK has struggled with surging prices that are largely attributable to the colossal shock of the pinko pox, followed by the trade disruptions created by Russia's invasion of Ukraine. As the West cut off imports from Russian natural gas, energy prices have soared and supplies have dwindled. But those events were bad enough on their own. But then, just over a week ago, the freshly installed government of Prime Minister Liz Truss announced a sweeping tax cut plan that economists from both ends of the political spectrum have decried as unorthodox at best, diabolical at worst. In short, the Truss admin said it would slash taxes for all Britons to encourage spending and investment and, in theory, soften the blow of a recession. But the tax cuts aren't funded, which means the government must take on debt to finance them. Or, stop their spending. And this, by the way, is the same kind of fear-porn propaganda that they're going to try to shove down your throat when Republicans take Congress and start to demand tax cuts or codifying the Trump tax cuts, which will never get through the White House, by the way. Or if we do have 2024 come through and the Donald comes in and says, I'm going to do your tax cuts, I'm going to make them permanent, they're going to actually have to make a bill to make your tax cuts come in here. Again, it's going to be the same thing. A tax cut on all Americans, but it's not funded. They have to borrow money to go back and make this happen. With never a thought of stopping the spending. Which is part of the reason we're in this mess in the first place. But it's interesting, CNN finally coming out saying, well, we're going to be in a recession after 2 quarters of GDP shrinkage, and a third one on deck. We will get the numbers in a couple weeks, and we will know if we have come to a third quarter or not. But we'll see what happens with that. Where this goes, let's look at the polls, and then we'll get into the main news of the day. So let's go back up to home. So I like to look at Real Clear Politics here because we've got a few going on here. The top Senate races that are up on the top page. Arizona has Mark Kelly up +4, which is weird. Wisconsin has Ron Johnson up +3, and these are all the projections, by the way. So these are averages across a series of polls that have happened throughout the last few weeks. Let's see. Warnock is back up on top here, up 0.7. But that is shrinking. New Hampshire, Colorado, Washington. J.D. Vance is up, by the way, on the Senate. And Marco Rubio is up by +4. Even though Val Deming says she's going to be the next senator of Florida. RCP's projection is +2 on the Senate, 52 to 48. On the House, the generic ballot is Republican +1. Battle for the House, 182 Democrats. GOP is 218 with 35 toss-ups still. Which tells me, by the way, that even if Democrats pick up all of the toss-ups, every single one of them, they're still behind by 1 seat. Governor's races, Michaels is up by 0.5 here in Wisconsin. Lake is up by 2.2 in Arizona, which makes me question why Mark Kelly is up so high, considering they're going to be on the same ballot. Josh Shapiro is up by 10.4 in Pennsylvania. Whitmer's up by 10. She's going to pull that off, which is going to suck. Yeah, Charlie Crist is really going to take it from Ron DeSantis at +5.4. Stacey Abrams is also really going to take it from Brian Kemp, where Kemp is up +6.6. And you know who else is going to really, actually, honestly take it? Beto. He's going to take it from Abbott, who's up by +8. 3 weeks out from us going out to the polls. But what I want to do is take a look at a couple of these here in average. The presidential job approval. We had a Monmouth come in. We haven't had any recent polling, it doesn't look like. I think the last polling that finished off on 9/27, so we do have to wait for a few more to come in at this point, but the presidential approval is at 42.1% approve and 53.3 disapprove, 11.2 spread. And that's probably the best numbers we've seen for Biden in a long time. He hovered around the 40 mark for a very, very, very long time. And it actually looks like it might be starting to peter back out a little bit too. Looks like his highest since all the way back to here, it looks like. which would be December of 21, was where he was at 44% approve. So yeah, just his recent right now at 43 is the highest it's been in almost a year. Just to pay attention to where we've been at with this. And he's had a couple of little peaks here and there. But the disapprove has stayed insanely high. Looking at some of the recent ones, the Monmouth at 921 to 925. Of registered voters, 750 is 38 to 55, a 17-point spread. That's probably hurting him a lot. But honestly, we can take the Reuters Ipsos and throw it out because it's just of adults. We don't know if they're voters. We don't know if they're citizens. We don't know if they're going to vote. It's just they went to 1,004 adults and says, hey, do you like Biden? I'm even wary of taking the likely voter polls, but it does seem like that's pretty much all that we have at this point. A handful of registered voters and 1 adult, but most of them are likely voters. He did really, really well in a economist.yougov poll, 47 to 52, a 5-point spread. So that's what we have off this. Let's back this up. Let's look at a different set. The generic congressional ballot. Right now the average is up +1. Looking at a few of those, again, nothing very recent. Going back, I guess the Rasmussen one is only, 5 days old? We have no adults polled in this one. This is all registered or likely voters. We've got a 47 to 45 on Monmouth, 45 to 44 on Rasmussen. Do we have anywhere? Yeah, we do have somewhere Democrats are leading. Politico shows Democrats +2. Grinnell-Seltzer shows Democrats +4. And Emerson shows a tie. There's no sample size in the ABC News Washington Post, but it's also Republican +5. So, yeah, it's not looking good. I'm a little surprised by the Trafalgar one where it's showing Republicans +5, or the ABC News also Republicans +5. But that's what we have for that. Kind of looking at the spread of where that went. Starting back, the congressional ballot on October 4th was Democrats +3. But the reversal came, and it's like they jumped the line quite a bit through here. But it just always seems to keep coming with on the generic ballot. That's, no names, no anything else, no campaigns. It's just, would you vote for a Democrat or Republican for your House seat? And Republicans are up +1, which is probably devastating for Democrats because there's typically a sample bias in here as well. All right. Let's look at, I want to look quick at a couple governors races and a couple Senate races. Oh, do we not have governors on here? All right, let's look at the latest. A few of them coming in here. Oz versus Fetterman. USA Today Suffolk has Fetterman +6. Florida Senate, Mason-Dixon has Rubio +6. Let's grab this one here. RCP's got Fetterman +4.3. I have a hard time believing that one. I'm not going to lie. I mean, the averages don't lie, but I have a really hard time believing that one. We'll see where that one comes off of, just because Fetterman's so bad at speaking, mostly. Rubio versus Demings. Where's the chart? Do we not have a chart on this one? We don't appear to have a chart off this one. Yeah, there's not a single poll out there that shows Demings ahead. They didn't even show the chart because... Oh, there is a single poll. University of Florida. 8-8 to 8-12. Demings was +4. We've got a Trump versus Biden in there, but I think that's kind of pointless at this point. Congressional job approval, disapproved 67%. Congressional vote, Republicans +2. It's always interesting to look and see both the races and the recent polls and seeing where everything goes with this, especially pulling out and seeing the aggregates of some of these. But we will see what happens with this. DeSantis versus Chris, DeSantis +8. This is a fun one to look at. Another one where Chris has led once in St. Pete. In August, at the beginning of August, before, I think that was before the primary. 8-2 to 8-3. But that's what we see coming out of the polling here. A lot of information, a lot of interesting stuff. I do always recommend going and checking RCP for your aggregate, because they typically seem to be on the button for some of this stuff. But we'll see what happens with this and where this goes. Let's talk about student debt. The Walker race, I don't know what's going to happen with that. I think his son got paid by a bunch of left-wing friends to go back and say that kind of stuff about him. So, let's look in at student debt. Starting with Politico. Do I want to start with Politico? Yeah, we'll start with Politico. Biden and GOP critics of student debt. Bring it on. From Michael Stratford. President Biden struck a defiant note against Republican attacks of his student debt relief plan over the weekend, after a week where the proposal faced a wave of legal challenges and his admin rather scaled back a part of the policy. 7 GOP-led states are now suing to block the plan. I know I'm being banged up by Republicans, but bring it on, said the uniter-in-chief, who ran on a platform of unity, to a remark at a Congressional Black Caucus Foundation event on Saturday night. So, in the midst of one of the worst hurricanes in Florida history, Biden went to a Congressional Black Caucus black tie event. Look at that tux, by the way. Biden touted the debt relief plan as a game changer for millions of families, especially the 70% of black student borrowers who also received a Pell Grant and will be eligible for up to $20,000 of relief. Hey, for many black students who are just as smart and capable as rich folks, that this student loan forgiveness will wipe out the debt completely, man. Come on. For others, it will provide significant relief. It's Biden's most forceful public defense of his plan since he first announced it in August. He also criticized Republican members of Congress who are slamming his student debt relief plan after supporting pandemic loan forgiveness programs, which is an apples to oranges comparison, but also something that I was against as well, and the 2017 GOP tax law, which affected most of the people in there. I got into a long argument with somebody who tried to tell me, oh, well, they had to, in order to give the illusion that there was tax cuts out there and make sure that everything went out to their rich donor buddies, they had to raise the minimum deduction. I'm like, yeah, that's still a tax cut for the poor, you moron. And by the way, I was solidly middle class at the time. I'm poor again because of inflation, but I was solidly in the middle class at the time, and I got a significant tax cut. So, this is Biden coming out and saying this because we do have some news on this from CNBC. GOP challenges to Biden's student loan forgiveness plan put debt relief in jeopardy. From Annie Nova. The tens of millions of Americans who've been celebrating the news of student loan forgiveness are now stuck in limbo as Republicans mount legal challenges to the Biden admin's plan. Yeah, nothing on the fact that they just went back and cut a bunch of people out of the plan. Let's see. In August, President Biden announced the most federal student loan borrowers will be eligible for some forgiveness, up to $10,000 if they didn't receive a Pell Grant, which is a type of aid available to low-income undergraduate students, and up to $20,000 if they did. The White House has said that borrowers will be able to start applying for the relief this month and could see their lowered or eliminated balances within 6 weeks. At least 3 challenges have been filed so far. On September 27th, Frank Garrison, an attorney working for a conservative legal group, brought the first legal challenge to Biden's plan, arguing that forgiveness would cause him personal injury in the form of a state tax bill. Canceled student debt can be considered taxable income, although borrowers won't be required to pay federal taxes on their canceled debt thanks to a pinko-pox pandemic-era relief provision in the American Rescue Plan of 2021. Some states, including Indiana, where Garrison resides, may charge levies on the relief. Currently, Garrison is pursuing a government program that leads to tax-free debt cancellation known as public service loan forgiveness, but he says Biden's plan could now cause him to get a $1,000 state tax bill. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to what I get off taxes, and I don't have that much out. Probably about $3,000 that I'd be eligible for, because the other stuff is all in private loans. So, $3,000, but $3,000 of extra income. Not enough to move me in the tax bracket, but enough to raise my tax bill. 2 days later, on September 29th, 6 Republican-led states, Arkansas, Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, Nebraska, and South Carolina, filed a lawsuit to block Biden's action. The GOP state officials argue that the president doesn't have the power to issue nationwide debt relief without Congress. They're also claiming the policy would harm private companies that service some federal student loans by reducing their businesses. Yeah, I don't think they care because most of the private companies themselves aren't eligible for this. On the same day, Arizona Attorney General Mark Brnovich brought his own legal challenge to stop Biden admin's plan. Brnovich asserts that the policy would reduce the impact of the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program, which he says enables his office to recruit legal talent. That one's kind of a stretch, actually. The PSLF program allows those who work for the government to get their debt discharged after a decade. If borrowers' loans are simply discharged now, Brnovich argues they'll have less of an incentive to work for the state office. Lawyers in private practice tend to get paid more. Yeah, see, that sounds like a you problem, Brnovich. That doesn't sound like a government problem. The other ones, by the way, do sound like a government problem. That's a stretch, Brnovich. In spite of the fact that I'm generally in favor of the direction you're going with it, that's a stretch. There's little merit in the challenge. The main obstacle for those hoping to bring a legal challenge against Biden's plan has been finding a plaintiff who can prove they've been harmed by the policy. Such injury is needed to establish what courts call standing, says Lawrence Tribe, a Harvard law professor. Tribe isn't convinced the current lawsuits that have been filed have successfully done that. It always throws me off when they miss a word or something in a sentence. There should be 2 more words right here, and then I read it, and it doesn't make sense in my mind as I'm reading it. And I'm like, they keep looking for different ways to establish standing, and that's all well and good, but in the end, it is the merits that matter, and there's little merit in their challenge, Tribe said. Higher education and legal expert Mark Kantrowitz said it was possible a judge may overlook the imperfect case of standing, however, because of the larger questions at play here, including the scope of the president's power. The president's student loan forgiveness plan will likely be overturned if it reaches the U.S. Supreme Court, Kantrowitz said. So, a few things that are moving with this, a few things that are going with this, and realistically, no, the president doesn't have the power to just do this unilaterally. And I think that he's going to find that he doesn't. Between the legal challenges and the fact that, by the way, just to remind you, there is no EO officially out on this. All that we have is a booming and bumbling speech that the ventriloquist puppet made, saying, "Oh man, yeah, I'm gonna do this. Don't you love me now? Come on, man. Hey, leftoids, vote for me." That's all that we actually have off of this. There's no official EO. There's nothing filed for this. There's no legislation. There's nothing. And that's something to keep in mind and pay attention to as we look through this, as we decide whether or not this is actually going to be a thing, which I don't think it's going to be, especially given the fact that they did it this close to the midterm. For two reasons. Number one, it's a vote buy. The leftist, the far left base, was already out there. The Nina Turners out there, the AOCs, they were out there screaming. The Bernie Sanders, for that matter, screaming, well, you have the unilateral power to do this. Just do this. Why haven't you done this yet? And just a few weeks before a midterm, it suddenly happens. And now we're sitting here and we're seeing the student loan forgiveness with no actual documentation to it. So now you've got people energized coming out here with the advertisements coming up saying, if you vote for generic Republican, he's going to take away your student loan debt forgiveness. He's evil. He wants you to suffer. He wants you to work for a living. Vote for generic Democrat. He loves puppies and he wants to forgive all your student loans. They've got that advertisement out there. But given the fact that we're sitting in a point where we just looked at with the polls, where the House is, unless there's the honkening to a honkening that you've never seen before, ever in your life, unless we're in that situation, it's the Republicans to lose. There's almost no statistical way for Democrats to win control of the House, which means, and it does look like the Senate is leaving the Democrat hands too, which means once this all gets back up there, once this is out, oh shucks, no, I wanted to go forgive your student loan debt, but oh no, sorry, those evil Republicans blocked it. I know I promised, I know I said I could do it. I know that I said that I could do it by EO, but you know, those evil Republicans out there with their Trump-appointed judges, they blocked it, and you know, I can't do anything anymore. My hands are tied. Oh no. Oh, sorry guys. Oh, I guess you're just going to have to vote for Democrats again. So, that's what we see coming off of that. Let's see. After the I think we have video of this. Biden says we can afford student debt forgiveness after GOP lawsuit. I think this is a rehash of what was in the CNBC article. I'm sorry, out of the Politico article. But let's see if we can get the New York Post to play the video. I know that sometimes I have trouble with New York Post videos. Let's give it a shot, though.
Banged up by the Republicans, but come bring it on. We can afford to cancel $10,000 in student debt. And
dude, if you're going to be that forceful, then at least stay in your words. I know I've struggled with this, but I'm not the leader of the free world. If you're going to be, bring it on. Dude, his medicine is failing once again.
And $20,000 if you had a Pell Grant. For Americans making under 125 grand. 70% of black college students receive a Pell Grant. For many black students, these loan forgiveness will wipe out the student debt completely. For others, it will provide significant relief. It's a game changer. I don't want to hear a word from those members of Congress, if you notice, whose families got tens of thousands of dollars and several $1 million in pandemic relief loan forgiveness. The same ones criticizing. Give me a break, come on.
Dude, he just can't help himself with that line. Give me a break. Hey, come on, man. But again, it's nothing but a vote buy. Hey, black folk. Hey, come out and vote for me. I promise I won't call you the help this time. Come on, man. Let's talk about 230. Title part of this episode. Supreme Court takes up a divisive issue. Should tech companies have immunity over problematic user content? from Lawrence Hurley and David Ingram. The Supreme Court on Monday stepped up the politically divisive issue of whether tech companies should have immunity over problematic content posted by users, agreeing to hear a case alleging that YouTube helped aid and abet the killing of an American woman in the 2015 Islamic State terrorist attacks in Paris. The family of Nohemi Gonzalez, one of 130 people killed in a series of linked attacks carried out by the militant Muslim group, commonly known as ISIS. Ooh, be scared, ISIS! Argued that YouTube's active role in recommending videos overcomes the liability shield for internet companies that Congress imposed in 1996 as part of the Communications Decency Act. Actually, as far as the recommended videos thing goes, I don't have a problem with that. I don't know what the recommended videos look like because I don't ever go back and watch my programming on YouTube. If I do go back and watch it, it's on another platform, DLive on the VOD or something else like that, or I download the video. But I'm pretty sure that if you watch one of my videos after the fact, the next thing up after that is a Fox News video. If you have your autoplay on. Of course, I turn my autoplay off. But on the rare occasions, like if I hate watch Tim Pool, if I hate myself and decide that I want to hear somebody say Civil War 17 times in 35 minutes, what's up always after Tim Pool? Even with the autoplay off, I can see it in the corner. Tucker Carlson! And, well, fuck Tucker. Excuse my language. The provision, Section 230 of the Act, says internet companies are not liable for content users post. It has come under heavy scrutiny from the right and the left in recent years, with conservatives claiming that companies are inappropriately censoring content, and liberals saying that social media companies are spreading dangerous right-wing rhetoric. The provision leaves it to companies to decide whether certain content should be removed and does not require them to be politically neutral. The stakes could be enormous because recommendations are now the norm for online services, not just YouTube. Apps such as Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook and Twitter long ago began to rely on recommendation engines or algorithms to decide what people see most of the time, rather than emphasize chronological themes. NetChoice, a trade group for tech corporations, said the industry needs as much flexibility as possible to decide what to take down or leave up. Excuse me. Yeah, I noticed that especially it got bad this year on Twitter. Because anytime I go onto Twitter, like after I refresh the feed, I would say that out of the first 15 stories, 9 of them are from people that I don't follow. Parnas, Koshirella, Jersey My Wife's Son Reliant, Jojo from Jers, Belsi Amino. I don't know if I see her anymore. I wonder if she blocked me. I know that Palmer Report and Tiedrick both blocked me. Cooper blocked me. But they just spam these far left Biden. I don't know if they're Biden paid, Biden promoted, or paid to have their posts promoted by Biden. But they're all these big pro-Biden accounts, and I think that Twitter's algorithm says, hey, if we just spam these accounts in front of you, you'll see the light and you'll move away from evil Donald Trump. Which I did years ago because I moved away from evil U.S. government. I moved away from evil U.S. government before Trump got elected. Let's see. NetChoice, a trade group for tech corps, said the industry needs as much flexibility as possible to decide what to take down or leave up. For political reasons, of course. Without moderation, the internet will become a content cesspool filled with vile content of all sorts, and making it easier for things like terrorist recruitment, NetChoice counsel Chris Marchese said. In a separate move, the court said on Monday it would hear a related appeal brought by Twitter about whether the company can be liable under federal law called the Anti-Terrorism Act, which allows people to sue people or entities who aid and abet terrorist acts. The same people the same appeals court that handled the Gonzalez case revived claims brought by relatives of Nawras Alasaf, a Jordanian citizen killed in an Islamist attack in Istanbul, which used to be Constantinople, but now it's Istanbul, not Constantinople. Yes, it's Istanbul, not Constantinople. In 2017, who accused Twitter, Google, and Facebook of aiding and abetting the spread of militant Islamic ideology, which the companies deny. The question of Section 230 immunity has not yet been addressed in that case. So there are a few things that go along with this. Now, as far as foreign law goes, that is going to be a very, 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 very murky territory. I can't begin to tell you how murky of territory that's going to be, given the fact that you're censoring posts that originate in foreign countries that don't have a First Amendment. You'll have to consult your local laws for that. As far as our local laws go, I don't think that there should be a way for Facebook to go back and censor, take things back out. Because, and this has been pointed out by a lot of other content creators, they do take government grants. They're not a fully private company. Now, with that being said, they host government services, they host social media alerts, Amber Alerts, things like that. Weather alerts, NOAA, federal alerts, election. Honestly, I think that Rumble, True Social, Minds, and Gab have more of a claim to make censorship. Censor posts that the companies don't like because the government doesn't use those. Minds would be another one. Odyssey, things like that. Because the government does not use those particular services. So, with that being said, I'm not 100% positive that this is going to be an easy one. As far as the terrorist recruitment goes, I mean, the problem with that, it's not the problem that people are going to be terroristic. It's going to be who decides. Oh, you have a black Gadsden flag over there? That's terrorist content. You're going to be taken down. In spite of the fact that I have very, very, very consistently said, do not take your fight to the government. Ever. It's a bad idea. They're better at killing than you are. If the government wants to fight you so bad, let them bring it to you. Don't bring it to them. You will die. I am on Rumble. Although I have to go check because we do have a Rumble page. I don't know if it's active right now. I have not figured out how to stream to it. But yes, all the YouTube replays go to Rumble automatically. I'm monetized over there. But I do have to. They do charge money, and I didn't know that. Funny story, just an aside off of Rumble, because Ron Helton asked about Rumble. With Rumble, if you are using Rumble as a content creator, one thing to pay attention to is that they don't, like the credit card statement, does not say Rumble on it. I've got to go, and I'll probably do that throughout this week, fix the credit card payment processor, because I started back in March getting a mysterious charge on my credit card saying basic internet, and it was for $10. And I had not signed up for any company called Basic. And I was out of Toronto too, so I thought, oh, well, this is going to be another identity theft. I got hacked again. So I called the credit card company, reported it right away, said, hey, this is happening. What do we do? And they said, okay, we'll overturn a couple of the charges to make sure. We'll go ahead and we'll do an investigation into this. We'll see if this is something that actually happened, or if this is something that's screwed up, or if somebody stole your numbers. We'll send you a new card, which I haven't activated because that card doesn't have rewards, and my new card from the same company does. But as soon as that happened, I started getting emails from Rumble saying, oh, your charge didn't go through. What's wrong? Hey, we can't charge us. And oh, we refunded you a couple charges. And then they're like, oh, basic internet is Rumble. And then I haven't fixed it yet. I had no idea what that charge was. Because it doesn't say Rumble on it anywhere. So, yeah, I do have to go and get that fixed now because they do provide the service. They are entitled to have my $10 a month. I have no problem giving them the $10 a month now that I know who it is. And see, back when I didn't know who it was, I like, hey, who's using their recurring charge on my credit card? Like, oh, it's them. So that's what we go with 230. The other thing with 230, by the way, and going on and what I had said about that is the question is the who decides. You know, when we have somebody going out there and saying, I want to go and burn down that Capitol, and that's going to be the part that gets clipped by Jared Holt over at Right Wing Watch. If I ever grow big enough that he pays attention to me, that's the one that's going to get clipped. That part's going to get clipped right there. When you have somebody out there that's screaming that, then yeah, that's an actual terroristic threat. But when we have somebody out here saying, come and take it, I don't like that Joe Biden, he wants to come out here and raise up my taxes and tell me that my little boy is a little girl. That's not a terroristic threat. But the wokies in charge of these little boys clubs, called social media companies, are probably going to take it as a terroristic threat. So 230 is going to come. I'm kind of curious to see where this goes and what happens with this. And yeah, honestly, as I said before we went off on the rant on Rumble, I think that Rumble, Gab, Minds, what's the other big one? Truth Social. What was the one that failed? Parler. Parlay. All of those have probably more of a claim to come back and say, oh, no, no. We're going to censor this stuff because we're private, we're completely privately owned. We don't have government grants, so we can do this. And ironically enough, they're the ones who don't want to go back and censor you. Well, Truth Social might. If you say something negative about the president on Truth Social, I do think you'll get censored. The former president, I should say. All right. Supreme Court to hear challenges to the law that shields internet companies from lawsuits. The Supreme Court on Monday agreed to hear a challenge over the sweeping legal immunity that shields internet companies from lawsuits over user-generated content, a case with potentially enormous consequences for social media. A provision of the 1996 Communications Decency Act, known as Section 230, was intended to protect free expression on the internet by shielding internet companies from liability for much of the content their users post on their platforms. The law also protects the companies from lawsuits for removing content that violates their policies. No, I've not mentioned the name of the Rumble channel yet. Before we close out, remind me, and I'll go and find it and post the link in there. I posted the link in the live chat before, but remind me again and I'll do it again. But the law has drawn criticism from both Democrats and Republicans amid questions about whether social media companies have become too powerful. Noemi Gonzalez, a 23-year-old U.S. citizen, was killed in the Islamic State group attack in Paris in 2015. Her family sued Google, alleging that it was partly responsible because it promoted videos and other content that propagated the group's message. The question in the case is whether Google is entitled to Section 230 protections when it recommends content to other users, even when the process is handled by an algorithm. The San Francisco-based U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit ruled that Section 230 protects the companies from lawsuits, but also raised concerns with the law. The case, Gonzalez versus Google, appeared designed to catch the attention of Associate Justice Clarence Thomas, who has questioned 230 in other contexts. The Supreme Court on Monday granted a separate but related case about whether Twitter, Google, and Facebook could be held liable under the Anti-Terrorism Act for aiding and abetting the Islamic State group. The platforms, the plaintiffs argued, played an important role in the rise of the Islamic militant organization. That case, however, doesn't directly involve questions about protection from liability under 230. The Supreme Court dismissed as moot a high-profile case last year about whether former President Trump was on solid legal ground when he blocked several of his critics on Twitter back when he was in office, but Thomas, in a concurrence, lamented the power of social media companies and indicated that they might be treated differently under the law. Yeah, it's a very murky case off of this. As far as content, as far as the content that goes on to things like this, one of the things that's really important to me is the catchphrase that I used on my one-off video series back when I was doing that. It's my pinned tweet. Never take the words of bloggers, podcasters, or journalists as gospel. Find out the facts and draw your own conclusions. There are people out there who are going to post wild, outrageous lies on social media. Some of them are as jokes, as we saw with the bad automotive advice for the winter, like drilling screws into your tires for grip, or hot water on your windshield, or things like that. Really, really stupid stuff, which was taken down because people were not smart enough to actually do that, which, honestly, I think those people should have earned a Darwin Award for that. Instead of actually going back and letting Facebook babysit for them, those people should have earned a Darwin Award. Like, oh, now I've got to go replace a windshield. Now I've got to go replace a set of brand new tires. Because I was too stupid to vet things for myself, and I took advice from random strangers on Facebook in a meme. If you have a question about whether or not something is real, you should go back and check that. That's part of the reason I started doing one-off videos, why I started doing YouTube, and why I started doing my blog all the way back. Is because I saw so many instances where people were saying something, spreading a lie on the internet, and we're getting no pushback to it. My original indication was to do the pushback. And it actually started with dating, honestly enough. Oddly enough. People were spreading lies about the opposite sex in both directions, and I wanted to tackle some of that. But as the lies moved away from dating, and honestly, we entered a more TradCon phase of life, which is kind of based, more things came out about politics, and people started spreading lies about that. So, if you go on the internet, it should be your responsibility to go back and vet everything that you see. You shouldn't let somebody else go and vet that. You should vet that for yourself. All right, from the Blaze, moving one away from what we were seeing before and moving on to something more local, but something that's probably actually not going to get a lot of airplay on the news. We're going to start with this one from the Blaze. Violent felon is now representing himself in the Waukesha Christmas Parade massacre trial.
It's not a massacre. He was running away from the police. How? How could you ever prosecute this man?
From Joseph McKinnon. On November 21st, 2021, hundreds took to the streets of Waukesha for the city's annual Christmas parade. The good cheer and wholesome revelry was cut short when a red Ford Escape pulled onto the parade route and powered through the crowd, injuring nearly 50 people. 18 kids were among those badly hurt. 6 people were killed, including 8-year-old Jackson Sparks, who had been marching in the parade alongside his baseball team. 4 of the victims were members of the Dancing Grannies, elderly women known for dancing in parades. The trial for the individual, believed responsible, 41-year-old Darrell Brooks Jr., began on Monday. Brooks faces 6 counts of first-degree intentional homicide and 61 counts of felony reckless derangement. I think that's supposed to be endangerment. We don't have a charge in this state, as far as I know of reckless derangement. Let me fact-check myself on that. Yeah, no, anything that I do that autocorrects to reckless endangerment. So, no, it does not appear, just on a brief cursory Google search, that we have a reckless derangement charge in Wisconsin. You know who has reckless derangement? The anti-Trump people on Twitter. That's reckless derangement. Prosecutors have indicated that an overwhelming amount of evidence stacked against him, including over 300 videos of the parade, a witness list 32 pages long, and testimonies from grieving parents, police officers, and FBI agents. Last week, Brooks withdrew his insanity, not guilty plea, and filed a motion to represent himself. Okay, Brooks, I don't care for you. I think you should be in prison for the rest of your life for what you did at this parade. But with that being said, I strongly advise against you representing yourself. Sincerely, an armchair quarterback sitting in his living room talking to a microphone. Do not represent yourself against the government. They suck. Well, you suck too, but they suck worse. He didn't offer the court any insight into the motivation behind his decision, stating only, "I have my own reasons why." Although she warned about what he's getting into, Waukesha County Circuit Judge Jennifer Doro ultimately decided on September 28th to permit Brooks to represent himself in court, noting that he was both competent and coherent enough to do so. We've got the video. Law and Crime Network, Waukesha Parade Massacre suspect Darrell Brooks, who was representing himself, was hauled out of the courtroom 4 times Monday during his jury selection. I'll be talking about that too because, yeah, he was very disruptive in a lot of this.
Understands that a lawyer may be appointed if the defendant is indigent and understands the disadvantages of self-representation.
Never once said I understand.
He is voluntarily and freely waiving the right to be represented by counsel and is making a deliberate choice to proceed without counsel, and therefore the court will grant the motion to withdraw brought by Attorney Perry and Attorney Keyes, and from this point forward, Mr. Brooks will proceed as his own attorney.
All right, while our live trials take their respective lunch breaks, we turn our attention to that trial, the upcoming trial of Wisconsin versus Darrell Brooks Jr. Jury selection began today for the 39-year-old who faces 6 consecutive life sentences. And as you just saw there, Judge Jennifer Doro granted his request to represent himself at a hearing last week. But that decision may have backfired after Brooks had to be ordered out of the courtroom a total of 4 times today. Brooks stands for trial for intentionally crashing his car into a group of people at the Waukesha Holiday Parade last November, killing 6 and injuring 60 others.
So, that's what we have for that. The defense attorneys, who Brooks subsequently dismissed, Jeremy Perry and Anna Keyes, had no comment. Tom Grieve, a Madison-based criminal defense attorney, told the Associated Press, "You have a defendant who feels like he has nothing to lose. He's going to try to make as big as a mess as possible and force a fumble by the prosecutors or judge and try to force a mistrial or build an appeal. I don't think he can do it, but that's actually a fair assessment of what this possibly is. I could see that. Former federal prosecutor Phil Turner expects a breakdown when it comes to the cross. Turner suggested that there's going to be an appeal no matter what. 7 minutes into the trial, earlier suggestions concerning Brooks' ability to derail proceedings proved true. The defendant was ejected from the court and sent back to his holding cell for repeatedly interrupting Duro. And we'll be talking about that in just a moment. 3 hours into the trial, the court was on its 6th recess due to Brooks' interruptions. Brooks repeatedly asserted that he was a soft... Oh my. Did he really go down that line? I gotta send this to Steven. Hold on, we gotta do some on-air production for the Daily Ignoramus. I gotta send this out to Steven. What do we need? We're on the second tweet. He'll dismiss me for using the Blaze because he doesn't like Glenn Beck any more than I do. Where is Steven? Where is Ignoramus? I am a sovereign. That's awesome. Refusing to answer Doro's questions, Doro characterized this assertion and its implicit rejection of the court's jurisdiction as an obstructionist tactic. Brooks also demanded that persecutors provide verified proof that he is an American citizen. Former Waukesha County DA Paul Butcher suggested that Brooks is delaying the inevitable and keen now just to waste everyone's time. He's playing games and I think he enjoys it, says Booker. If he's going to go down that road, I might watch this trial. Not going to lie, I might watch this trial if he's going to try to do that defense. Butcher indicated that further it's going to be terrible for the victims and the witnesses. Throughout the process, Brooks has been regarded as volatile. Well, given the fact that he drove a small SUV into a crowd of people, I think we already determined that he's volatile. In August, Brooks fell asleep having complained that he was bored. When he awoke, he yelled at the judge and tussled with the bailiff. Last week, Brooks's interruptions were so frequent as to prompt the frustrated judge to adjourn till the next day. And then they go through the history of violence thing, which part of that is going to show a pattern of derangement. But again, they can't go and retry him for any of these things. And I do carry the same complaint when we talk about things like what Rosenbaum and Grosskreutz and I can't think of the third one's name, the third moron's name, the skateboard dude, Huber. When we think about what they did in their past, none of that was in any way important. Yes, it's ironic that a person can shoot 3 shots into a crowd of leftists and hit a pedophile, a wife beater, and a sex offender. It's very ironic that you can do that, but none of those 3 actions were on trial when Kyle fired off those shots. The only things that were relevant in the moment were the fact that Rosenbaum was trying to commit suicide by protester, and Grosskreutz and Huber were both trying to kill somebody who was very, very well armed and had insane trigger discipline. What they did in their past, they could have been charity workers, donating puppies to elderly people who needed emotional support animals, with a myriad of charity work behind them, and very, very clean criminal records. And that wouldn't have mattered if they'd all 3 done the same actions that they did that night. Now, one thing to keep in mind is if the hypothetical that I brought forward was true, then they probably wouldn't have been at the protest, but that's the point I'm going with that. And again, they can't go back and try Brooks for what he did. It may take some account in sentencing, which I think this dude's going to get life, but yeah, this might have to get watched. This one might have to get observed if he's going to do the sovereign citizen thing. And according to my Discord DMs, Mr. Ignoramus agrees. It's 9 o'clock in the morning, and we're only on our 7th article, just so you know. From Fox 6, Darrell Brooks removed from court after multiple interruptions. From Brett Lemoine, Sam Kramer, and Fox News Digital Team. Looks like we might have some video of this one too. The trial for Darrell Brooks, the man accused in the Waukesha Christmas Parade attack, began on Monday, October 3rd with jury selection. Brooks managed to delay the start of his trial Monday by becoming so disruptive, the judge had to take multiple breaks, at least 11 recesses, before forcing him to watch the proceedings via video from another room. Jury selection was supposed to begin at 8:30 a.m. Let's see, day one timeline. 8:30, Brooks is in court along with DA Sue Opper, DDA Leslie Bowes, and ADA Zachary Witchaw for the state. 8:38, recess due to interruptions. After 9, Brooks does not consent to the jury selection process, previously agreed with the counsel. Court made access to all juror questionnaire information if possible if Brooks signed a waiver. He did not. A copy was provided for the courtroom use only. 9:25, recess. 9:49, Brooks provides documents to be e-filed. Brief recess, Brooks refuses to come out, and judge orders that he be brought out. First 41 jurors brought in. 10:13, jurors excused for a break. 10:27, judge notes Brooks' repeated disruptions. 10:53, recess. Wow. And yeah, I mean, it just goes off at this. First 41 potential jurors sworn in. Voir dire, conducted. Bailiffs begin checking on Brooks every 10 minutes to see if he's awake and listening to the proceedings. If you have your kids in the car, it might be time for earmuffs. Because I can't help this one. I apologize in advance if you got the kids in the car. But given the fact that this guy did go out and drive a car through a parade with malice, no matter how much they tried to spin the story of him running away from the police with malice, they know it was with malice. And now he's coming back to try to delay the trial this hard. What a fucking prick. Sorry. At the start of the hearing, Brooks was given a laminated copy of Standards and Decorum in the court. It didn't take him long for him to violate the rules. Of course, she gave him a detailed list of the things that he could do wrong to delay things. 5 minutes in, Brooks was sent back to his holding cell, marking the first recess of the morning. Brooks told Judge Dureau he doesn't recognize the name Darrell Brooks. He interrupted Judge Dureau several times, and he was bombarded with paperwork when Dureau asked if he received the documents Friday from the court, 2 days after Dureau granted his request to defend himself. "You should have discussed that with an attorney, not the court," said Dureau. Dureau warned Brooks that he could be removed from the courtroom even with a jury present. She later added that she can revoke Brooks' right to represent himself at any time. What a moron. Brooks, seated in the courtroom in a suit and face mask, continued to assert he's a sovereign citizen while acting in his own defense. Brooks then asked Judge Dureau for her name and certified copies of her oath. Dureau accused Brooks of refusing to answer the simplest questions, calling his sovereign citizen declaration an obstructionist tactic to not acknowledge the jurisdiction of the court. The third recess came as the court waited for the first 41 members of the jury pool. 340 jurors will be summoned, with 105 expected to be called on Monday. Minutes after the prospective jurors entered the courtroom, Dureau ordered the fourth recess of the morning. Brooks rambled about the Constitution and continued asking the judge for her name. It's also revealed Monday morning that Brooks gave the state a handwritten note demanding, among other things, the prosecutor provide verified proof that Brooks is a United States citizen. And, by the way, we have the PDF of that. That's getting read later on. Not in Waukesha County, she's not. So if you guys want to go down, and I'll put the link in the Discord as well, you can actually read the handwritten note. I will put that in general chat, but I think this is going to be topic chat as of today, because I know Grant is really, really interested in that. The guy that helps me do the maintenance side of the Discord server. I know he's really, really interested in this trial. So I think that he is going to be looking this over as well. I think we'll do topic chat off this. So, by the way, if you're on Discord, I think before I go to work today, I'm going to set up topic chat, and we'll go and look into this, and we'll actually get this one going, because this is too big to ignore. And there is a PDF in the link to the document that Brooks requested. For all of Madison, Waukesha Parade suspect, Darrell Brooks trial, day one, jury selection. Oh, we were going to watch video, weren't we? That's right. Forgot about that. I was too entertained by the fact that this guy's doing the sovereign citizen defense.
I absolutely want you present in the courtroom, but that is for you to decide at this point.
The trial of Darrell Brooks starts with disruptions as the defendant represents himself.
And we begin with this story at 9. Decorum derailed. The man accused of killing 6 and injuring more than 60 others during last year's Waukesha Christmas parade was removed from the courtroom before jury selection could begin.
Eventually, Darrell Brooks watched from another courtroom today. Sam Kramer sat in this afternoon. He joins us live now from Waukesha, where this process will resume tomorrow, Sam.
Yeah, hi there, Ben and Steph. Only 41 potential juror candidates were even questioned here at the Waukesha County Courthouse. 7 have already been struck for cause by Judge Jennifer Doro's order. We can't share with you the questions they were asked or even how they responded. What we can say is that day one was eventful. After a morning marred with interruptions.
I'm not a child. I don't need to be put in a holding cell until cooler heads prevail.
The efforts by Mr. Brooks over the last few hearings has been nothing but an attempt by him to delay, at times to make a mockery of our justice system.
Jury selection in the murder trial of Darrell Brooks eventually began around 2:45 Monday afternoon, with Brooks, who is representing himself, seated at the defense table in the courtroom next door.
Again, Mr. Brooks, I absolutely want you present in the courtroom, but that is for you to decide at this point.
Judge Jennifer Doro opted to include Brooks through video chat, muting his microphone during the voir dire process. At times, Brooks covered his head with his suit coat and rested his head on the table, which we can't show you due to media restrictions. In a little less than 4 hours, the court questioned 41 potential jurors, striking 7 for cause by the end of the day. Judge Doro says she wants a pool of 36 so that both sides can challenge or remove jurors as needed. So here's what to watch for tomorrow. A little more than 60 potential jurors.
Yeah, so I'm going to be watching this now, because now, well, this is going to be selling a lot of commercials, but this one got entertaining. Having been through the legal system and some of the things that go along with that, I do find it ironic that Judge Duro says that Brooks is making a mockery of the justice system, our justice system, when that lost credibility a long time ago. Yeah, I don't know why. Well, I know a lot of people are probably, again, doing the morning commute off of this, but I don't know why a lot of people aren't chatting. There are 13 people watching right now, so at 9 o'clock in the morning. So you guys are telling friends and getting more people in here. I'm always glad for that. So let's grab this one from WISN. See if there's anything new in this one. Jury selection didn't begin until Monday afternoon because things got off to a rough start. I think, yeah, they're just going to review all the same stuff we've already seen off of this one. WISN 12 News obtained copies of the jail log, which shows on Friday, Brooks asked if he could use the law library during the second shift, but when asked at 3:14 p.m. if he was ready to go, he said he would use it later, but he never again asked that night. On Saturday, the jail log shows Brooks did not ask to use the tablet or view his discovery. On Sunday, the jail log shows that Brooks asked for and received a tablet. On Monday, Brooks requested the use of a tablet before he was picked up for court. Officer Glazer took him the tablet at 7:15 a.m. He filed several documents, including a notice of special appearance for defendant. So, that's what we have for that.
You refusing to cooperate.
Fireworks in the court right from the start.
Mr. Brooks, we're having issues because of you.
We're having issues.
Not because of me. I've made my determination. I provided you with the law.
Because I'm not going to let you intimidate me into believing something.
Mr. Brooks, I am not intimidating you.
Because you can't.
Darrell Brooks dressed in costume Monday to defend himself in his homicide trial at odds again with the judge, asking repeatedly her name and stating over and over he did not have enough time to prepare his defense. This time, the arguing cost Brooks his right to sit in the courtroom for jury selection.
Would the bailiffs please remove him to the other courtroom?
The judge putting Brooks in a courtroom next door where he can still watch the proceedings. The judge muting him until it's his turn to speak. At times, he appeared to talk to himself and made hand gestures.
This court is on day one. It is 2:15 p.m. This court, within 5 minutes of starting court this morning, had to remove Mr. Brooks based upon his interruptions at that time. I've lost track, but I think I'm at least 5 or 6. Who knows, maybe more.
Brooks is accused of killing 6 people and injuring dozens when prosecutors say he drove his SUV into the Christmas parade last November. The judge granting Brooks's request last week to represent himself. While Judge Darrow says she's convinced Brooks is trying to be disruptive, she says too much time has gone into this case to delay it any further.
We have this amazing technology. The case law hasn't caught up to that technology. I believe this court can continue to go forward in this fashion with Mr. Brooks being in the courtroom next door.
And Hillary's back with us live this afternoon. Hillary, Darrell Brooks has been participating in jury selection.
Oh, this is so good. This is going to be amazing.
One.
So, that's what we see from Darrell Brooks. We'll skip over this one. From the Associated Press, senators push new oversight to combat federal prison crises. From Michael R. Sisak and Michael Balsamo. A bipartisan group of U.S. senators introduced legislation Wednesday to overhaul oversight and bring greater transparency to the crisis-plagued Federal Bureau of Prisons, following reporting from the Associated Press that exposed systemic corruption in the federal prison system and increased congressional scrutiny. The bill, called the Federal Prison Oversight Act, which would require the Justice Department to create prisons, ombudsman to field complaints about prison conditions, and would compel the department's inspector general to evaluate risks and abuses at all 122 federal prison facilities. The bill, sponsored by John Ossoff of Georgia, Mike Braun of Indiana, Dick Durbin of Illinois, is being introduced the day before Bureau of Prisons Director Colette Peters is scheduled to testify before the Senate Judiciary, which Durbin chairs. Ossoff, Braun, and Durbin are 3 founding members of the Senate Bipartisan Prison Policy Working Group. The panel launched in February amid turmoil at the Bureau of Prisons, much of it uncovered by the Associated Press reporting, including rampant sexual abuse and other criminal misconduct by staff, chronic understaffing, escapes, and deaths. I might skip ahead, just given that last paragraph right there. Because there is one that I want to discuss. It's no secret that the Bureau of Prisons has been plagued by misconduct, Durbin said. One investigation after another has revealed a culture of abuse, mismanagement, corruption, torture, and death that reaches to the highest levels, and yet it still operates without any meaningful independent oversight. The result has been catastrophic for both incarcerated people and staff. Well, see, part of the issue, and I'm not a fan of the federal prison system the way that it is, but part of the issue with something like this is when you remove people like this from society and put them all together, people who are accused of rampantly and randomly beating other people to death, people who are accused of murder by firearm, of torture, of wanton disregard of human life, of sexual assault, of drug use, and then these people coming back down off of the drugs as they go. Of armed robbery. Because, and that's a part of the problem too that goes with this, is you've got your larceny, your white collar, your embezzlement crimes go to one prison over here, the white collar resort prison, where you wear the white shirt and you stay in the minimum security. And then when you put all the other people that I just mentioned before in the great big federal supermax, when you put all these people together, what do you think is going to happen? Honestly, I think that Carlin had it right when he came to state prison camps. Which were the 4, by the way? Colorado was the drug abuse one. Wyoming was one of them. I know Colorado was the drug abuse one because they were turning over the Coors Brewery to the beer drinking guys, and that was like right after they did legalized recreational too. So the perfect place for going and getting stoned. George Carlin State Prison Farms. Apparently there's a song about it too. I'm gonna have to listen to that later just to see which 4 states that it was that he used. I know it was all the square ones over out west. Let me look at the map. Maybe the map will trigger something in my mind. I think it was Kansas, Colorado, Utah, and Wyoming, if I remember correctly. Mostly square states, easier defense. I remember that was a thing with that. But yeah, just go take all the violent people off of that and go put them in one prison farm. No escape, no parole. And don't worry about it, and then turn the cameras on too. A companion bill in the House was sponsored by Kelly Armstrong, a Republican of North Dakota, and Lucy McBeth of Georgia. Under the Federal Prison Oversight Act, the Justice Department Inspector General would be required to conduct risk-based inspections of all federal prison facilities, provide recommendations to address deficiencies, and assign each facility a risk score. Higher risk facilities would receive more frequent inspections. The Inspector General would also be required to report findings and recommendations to Congress and the public, and the Bureau of Prisons would need to respond with a corrective action plan within 60 days. A prison ombudsman would be established to take complaints via a secure hotline and online form and investigate and report to the Attorney General and Congress dangerous conditions affecting the health, safety, and welfare and rights of inmates and staff. With dangerous conditions affecting the health, safety, and welfare being like dropping the soap? A spokesman for the Justice Department said Wednesday that the agency was reviewing the legislation. A spokesperson for the Inspector General, Michael Horowitz, declined to comment. The reforms have the backing of a wide array of groups involved in the federal prison system and across the political spectrum, including the Correctional Officers Union, Ron, I don't think it's just you. I think that we're having some issue with my internet connectivity for some reason. Because I looked over and I saw the little bell icon that said that you have disconnected. So it looks like it's on my end, which means that we'll have to be having a conversation with Spectrum again. Or maybe it's the hardware in this crappy building. Or maybe, because they're doing the road, they hit a FiOS line somewhere. That could be a possibility as well. They are doing the road out here, by the way, currently. So anyway, that's what we have for that. Yeah, I just happened to look over and see Helton say that he lost the stream, and then I looked over and I saw the disconnection notice. So I wonder if they bumped the line or something, because I know that all our internet is underground here. So 11 viewers on Twitch, by the way. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And then it dropped right back to 4. I thanked everyone too soon. Let's talk about abortion. Fun topic. And I think we'll get through these 3. We'll get through these 4. And we'll have to call it a day because we are running up on the clock. No, I'm going to do this tweet too before we do this. From The Blaze, Kari Lake puts on clinic on how pro-life Republicans should respond to abortion questions. From Chris Pandolfo. Arizona Republican gubernatorial candidate Kari Lake performed a rhetorical jiu-jitsu flip of a reporter who tried to corner her on abortion at a speaking event. Tell me, if abortion is effectively banned in the state right now, tell me, is that something you support? A reporter asked Lake at the RNC Hispanic Community Center in South Phoenix last week. The Donald Trump-endorsed firebrand responded by turning the reporter's question around to highlight her Democrat opponent's abortion rights extremism. I support saving as many lives as possible, Lake answered, and what I really want to know, and I've been waiting, I tune into you guys all the time, I want to know where Katie Hobbs stands, but I never hear you guys ask her that. I'm pro-life, she continued. My plan would be that every woman who walks into an abortion clinic know that there are options out there. They don't have to choose that. There's families who would love to adopt a baby. And right now, the way that it's been going, they go in and they only have one option. No one tells them that there are other options. Let's listen.
Tell me, abortion is effectively banned in the state right now. Tell me, is that something that you support?
I support saving as many lives as possible. And what I really want to know, and I've been waiting, I tune into you guys all the time, I want to know where Katie Hobbs stands. But I never hear you guys ask her that. I'm pro-life. My plan would be that every woman who walks into an abortion clinic know that there are options out there. They don't have to choose that. There's families who would love to adopt a baby. And right now, the way it's been going, they go in and they only have one option.
That's it.
Nobody tells them that there's other options. We want to help our women. If they're afraid, we want to help them. We want to give women health care, and I want to help people. But I really challenge you, and I'm happy to get back to you on this, when you find out where Katie Hobbs stands, because let me tell you where she stands. She supports abortion right up until birth and after birth.
That's right.
She supports if a baby survives a botched abortion, that baby die on a cold metal tray. And none of you ever try to get her to talk about her stance. So get back to me after you do. And tell her. And tell her that I want to debate this topic on October 12th, but she really needs to show up for that debate.
Bravo. Tell me.
Make no mistake, if elected Governor, Lake will seek to further take away Arizonans' reproductive freedoms and put millions of people's lives on the line, the Hobbs campaign said in a statement. Under this ban, it's Arizona women and families who will suffer the most, Hobbs said, and as a mother, I'm furious that my 20-year-old daughter will have fewer rights than I did 50 years ago. The overwhelming majority of Arizonans support access to safe and legal abortion, but not rare, suddenly. This decision is a direct affront to what we, the people, the voters, Arizonans want. Well, I guess we will see in November, won't we? It's only a month away. So, there's that. From Axios Boston, Satanic Temple goes after abortion bans. Why? Because of course they are. From Steph Solis. The Salem-based Satanic Temple is suing Indiana and Idaho in federal courts over their abortion bans, arguing they violate the religious rights of the people in those states. The Satanic Temple filed its complaint against Idaho on Friday, a week after filing a similar one in Indiana. Both states have conservative governors who support near-total abortion bans. Meanwhile, the Temple's home state of Massachusetts restricts after 24 weeks with some exceptions. The Temple is one of several organizations suing to block state laws and almost entirely ban abortions. The Temple, a non-theistic religious group that often gets confused for the Church of Satan, has used religious freedom arguments in a similar lawsuit challenging Texas' abortion ban earlier this year. A spokesperson for Indiana AG Todd Rokita told the Indianapolis Star that the U.S. Supreme Court decided abortion isn't protected under the Constitution. This new lawsuit merely offers weaker arguments for the same discredited right, the spokesperson said. In the latest lawsuits, the Temple argued that each state's ban violates the right of the people who took contraceptives and still became pregnant, denying the right of an involuntary pregnant woman to engage in the satanic abortion ritual. Yes, that's actually printed on the page. The Temple's ritual includes the tenet, one's body is inviolable, subject to one's own will alone. The Temple accused the states of violating the 13th Amendment, discriminating against impregnated contraceptive users, and the state's own religious protections. The Temple also accused the states of unconstitutionally taking the property of involuntary pregnant women, i.e. their bodies, without just compensation, noting that people get paid thousands of dollars to be surrogates per the court documents. Wow. Boy, I sure wanted to go into today having faith in humanity. I really did. But that dream is done, so I don't know, maybe I'll meet my future wife later instead. From CBS. It looks like you're using an ad blocker. That's okay, I'll refresh that and then you won't care anymore. Planned Parenthood announces plans for mobile abortion clinic in Illinois to provide services to neighboring states. Why? Because of course they do. Because of course they will. Alright, Planned Parenthood officials on Monday announced plans for a mobile abortion clinic. A 37-foot RV that will stay in Illinois but travel close to borders of adjoining states that have banned the procedure since the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade earlier this year. Good luck! You'll be able to get away with that in the South Loop, and that's about it. You'll be able to do something like that on the Skyway. But I'm telling you right now, if you try to park this thing somewhere downstate, somewhere down by Champaign, the people that live in that part of your state are going to push your RV over. The announcement came 100 days after the Supreme Court ruling that stripped away constitutional protections, allowing states to ban the procedure. Illinois didn't institute an abortion ban, but neighboring Missouri, Kentucky, and Tennessee did. I didn't know Missouri did. I thought Indiana did as well. Yeah, I'm surprised they're not showing Indiana on this, because Indiana pretty much did. Kentucky and Tennessee I'm not that surprised by, but as a result, both abortion clinics in Illinois, on the Illinois side of the St. Louis region, including one operated by Planned Parenthood in Fairview Heights, have been inundated with patients. In a hurry to go kill that kid, huh? Leaders of the St. Louis Planned Parenthood office said that since June, the Fairview Heights clinic has seen a 30% increase in abortion patients, a rate officials said was even higher than they anticipated. patients from outside Missouri and Illinois increased by more than 340%. The onslaught of patients means longer waits. YMLC Rodriguez, president and CEO of Planned Parenthood of the St. Louis region in southwest Missouri, said abortion appointment waits have gone from an average of 4 days prior to the Supreme Court to 2.5 weeks. The mobile clinic is a way to reduce travel times and distances in order to meet patients on the Illinois border, said Dr. Colleen McNicholas, Chief Medical Officer for Planned Parenthood's St. Louis office. This will make a dramatic impact on their access. Wow, this is kind of satanic. It's kind of evil, folks. The mobile clinic will travel near the borders of southeastern Missouri, western Kentucky, and northeastern Tennessee. Rodriguez says the RV is expected to arrive this month and should be operational by the end of the year. I gotta ask the question. I really do. If you are going to such lengths to have this practice, that you will cross state lines and go have a procedure done in a sketchy RV, I'm sure it's going to have the big pink square PP on the side of it. Things like that. It'll be all flowery and happy and bright and everything. But regardless, you are that desperate for the procedure that you will cross a state line to go get into a sketchy RV in the middle of a damn cornfield. At what point do you look at this and say, I need to reevaluate my life? At what point are you looking at this and saying, am I making the right decision? We're getting to a point where this is actually becoming problematic for people who can't sit back and self-reflect. The clinic will include 2 exam rooms, a lab, and a waiting room. Initially, it will provide medication abortions up to 11 weeks. Planned Parenthood will aim to start providing surgical abortions at the clinic after the first few months. McNicholas and Rodriguez declined to discuss safety security measures for the mobile clinic. Laura Echevarria, spokeswoman for the National Right to Life Committee, which opposes abortions, called the mobile abortion clinic another grotesque demeaning of human life. Yeah. Chemical abortions can lead to life-threatening complications, Echevarria said in a statement. Will women recognize those complications early enough to seek treatment? Other efforts have begun around the country to increase abortion access. The nonprofit Just the Pill operates a mobile clinic in Colorado that provides medication abortions. Spokeswoman Kat Mavengeri says that early next year, also in Colorado, Just the Pill will operate a mobile clinic for procedural abortion. The organization also plans to expand to other areas, starting with a mobile clinic in Illinois in 2023. Dude, this is satanic. And again, my big thing with that is, if you have come to this point, fallen this hard, is there any spark in your mind that says, okay, I need to reevaluate my life if I'm going across a state line to have a sketchy abortion in a sketchy RV in the middle of a cornfield? I don't know. And the last one, just a little bit of a shot chaser for you. Then I'm actually going to do this tweet too, just because we need to do that as well. But a shot chaser for you. From The Blaze, Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer tweets, "Kids are our future," less than 2 hours before a tweet vowing to fight like hell to defend access to abortion. From Alex Nitzberg. Don't need to read into the article, we'll just look at the tweets. 4:17 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Gretchen Whitmer, our kids are our future, and I'm fighting for them by closing the school funding gap and investing in public education. We're giving our students the support they need to thrive. 5:32 p.m. 1 hour and 15 minutes later. As long as I'm governor, I will fight like hell to defend access to abortion in Michigan. That's funny. That's funny. I don't care who you are. Alright. The last one that we'll do here, and then we'll go do Twitter trending and head out of here for the day, is this video that I just found entertaining. No other reason other than I was entertained by this. Breaking 911. Florida man. I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm voting for DeSantis and I'm a Democrat. Earmuffs, please, if you have your kids in the room. Because there is coarse language in this 20-second clip.
That shit about DeSantis, but that gas is here in Arcadia. I don't know about the rest of y'all, but it's here in Arcadia. So y'all know who we vote for. I don't know about the rest of you motherfuckers, but I'm voting for DeSantis. And I'm a Democrat. So y'all can call it what the fuck y'all want to call it.
We got children out here.
Okay, I'm sorry, ma'am. I'm sorry. That shit about DeSantis, but that gas...
We got children out here. I'm sorry, ma'am. Alright, let's do Twitter trending and head out of here for the day. To the Explore page, to the Trending tab, and let's see what we've got. On Tuesdays, we read the top 5 Twitter trends, respond to some of them as much as we can, as much as I know, and discuss some of the things that I don't understand. A lot of the times you guys come in and remind me of stuff. So we do skip Tuesday vibe, Tuesday thoughts, Tuesday motivations. So we will get the second 6. We'll skip the top 1. Today, number 2 trend is National Taco Day. Let's talk about our love for tacos as foodies celebrate National Taco Day on October 4th. Maybe I'll have to go have a taco today. I've been wanting to make breakfast tacos for a while. It's just my weekends have been so cram-packed lately. I haven't had a chance to. Britt, tweets by Britt, says, it's National Taco Day and National Cinnamon Roll Day. I feel like all my dreams just came true. This guy's got taco socks. This seems to have nothing to do with tacos, but hey, happy Taco Day, apparently. Jen M. Thomas says, happy Tuesday, hashtag National Taco Day, Taco Tuesday. In a post that seems to have nothing to do with taco. Finance says, my boss asked me to post something about National Taco Day, so here's a finance taco. Look, they're all eating tacos on National Taco Day. The turtle, the deer, the unicorn, the chick, the koala, and the horse. Today is National Taco Day. It's also Taco Tuesday. This is it, people. This is what we trained for. Taco Bell says for National Taco Day, we're doing taco drops all across the internet from 6 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Dropping 500 Taco Lovers passes through codes redeemable at Taco Bell app. Check our Twitter every hour on the hour for directions to the next drop. Codes are limited. Redeem before it's gone. This one, Nika says, good morning, world. I'm a slut for tacos. A taco, if you will. Alright, that's enough of that. Maybe we'll get one more glance at that. Right, the next one. Loretta Lynn. Which, by the way, they rearranged now. Loretta Lynn, the Kentucky coal miner's daughter, whose frank songs about life, love, and a woman in Appalachia pulled her out of poverty and made her a pillar of country music, has died. She was 90. Oh, man. I didn't know she was still alive. Oh, lame. Well, I guess we all know what top story is tomorrow. Oh, jeez. That's Loretta Lynch, not Loretta Lynn. She was 92. Wow. I think the most I know about Loretta Lynn is a lot of the duets she did with Conway Twitty. Is he still alive, by the way? Oh, that's so lame. Well, for 90 years, she had a good life, I can say that. I think a lot of these people that are tweeting about this didn't even know she was still alive, and I think a bunch of them probably didn't even know who she was. I'm not going to lie. I didn't know she was still alive, and I enjoyed her music. I thought she passed years ago. But, yeah, there's that. All right, Walker. The Georgia race is coming up here. Not Scott Walker. Herschel Walker. Ellie Mistal. As I've said repeatedly, the only reason people are voting for Walker is not because of his policies, or temperament, or knowledge, or moral character. They're voting for him because he will do what McConnell and Trump tells him to do. That's it! That's the entire campaign! It's all the evil white man. Christian Walker, who is apparently his son, says, I know my mom and I would really appreciate if my father, Herschel Walker, stopped lying and making a mockery of us. You're not a family man when you left us to bang a bunch of women, threaten to kill us, and had us move over 6 times in 6 months running from your violence. Every family member of Herschel Walker asked him not to run for office because we all knew some of his past, every single one. He decided to give us the middle finger and air all of his dirty laundry in public while simultaneously lying about it. I'm done. But it does appear people have done their homework and looked back and found out that this was the same person, Christian Walker, who had the honor of introducing my dad last night at Mar-a-Lago. Got to preach about how authoritarian and horrific Democrats are, then got to hug a future senator. So I am getting a little bit of mixed messaging off of this. Alright, what else do we have? Done 1, 2, 3, 4. Silgi. Let's see. Today I bring you the Holy Trinity of 2022 Silgi. I don't know who this person is. This looks like K-pop. I don't know why that trends so often, but we haven't seen actually a trend on K-pop. Yeah, let's not look at that. We haven't seen a K-pop trend for a while though, so we got fortunate off this, but you know who that looks like? That looks like Kim Jong-un's sister, the crazy one that apparently is the praying mantis. That's who that looks like. But other than that, no, I have no idea who this person is. Or why this person is popular. Well, I kind of have an idea why she's popular. Look at her. But other than that, no idea. And the last one that we'll do today, and by the way, it's Yom Kippur today as well. A high holiday if you celebrate, or just want a day off work. Chris Pratt. First peek at Mario, voiced by Chris Pratt, discussing film. First poster for the Super Mario Bros. Movie starring Chris Pratt has been released. God, let it be better than the last one. I remember that piece of trash from 1992. I watched that movie. I actually just watched a documentary on that movie. Which I actually think that movie probably would have been a decent cult following B movie if had they not put the Mario name on it. It was bad enough acting, it was bad enough gimmicks and graphics that it would have fallen onto line with things like, I don't know, there were a lot of movies at that time that were like that, where it was just like Demolition Man, where it was corny and quirky enough but action-packed enough as well to go, had they not put the Mario name on that. But yes, let's please let this one be better than the last one. Let's see, what else do we have? Halloween Horror Night says, I just laughed really hard over the idea of Chris Pratt doing the Mario movie. Fine, and then getting extremely aggressive when he has to say, so long, Gay Bowser. I don't think he's going to do the N64 voice. And I do have to wonder if there's going to be maybe a Brooklyn accent off this, if they're going to go back with the Brooklyn line for Mario. Or if they're going to do an entirely new thing. Somebody is a little bit butthurt about this. Descendants of HHN Destruction says, it looks phenomenal. Then we have to hear Chris Pratt's voice come out of Mario's mouth. Yeah, by the way, isn't that appropriation? Because Chris is Anglo-Saxon, I think. I think he's English. And he's appropriating Italian culture? I don't know. I'm trying to do this the way the leftoids do. Imagine he turns around and it's just Chris Pratt's face. As far as this goes, though, obviously we well know the studio that's doing this, Illumination, the one that does the Minions movies and the Despicable Me movies. So, I mean, they've got plenty of money behind this. I'm excited for this because I love video games, obviously, as you can hear in the background behind me. I'm a little excited for this because I love video games, but it's just, I've had my heart broken by a Mario movie once before in my life. I was very young at the time, too. Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo are not Mario and Luigi. I'm sorry. Alright, but with that, we're done. We're out of here. 1:05 Pacific Time on 10/6. The trailer comes out. No game information will be featured. So that's what we see. I guess we'll see this in a couple days. There is a better than 50-50 shot that I play this on Friday because it'll be coming out on Thursday. Don't ruin this one. Don't ruin this one. Don't ruin this one. Alright, let's head out of here. Alright, we gotta change up the track. It's funny that we actually had a Mario song come up while we were talking about that part of that. That's awesome. I want to go play Mario 3. But we won't be streaming Mario 3 next. The next thing we'll be streaming is Mass Effect. Which is fun because I'm actually excited to play something that's not a Fallout game on stream for the first time in quite a while. Alright, so thanks everybody who came by and chatted in the live chat. It's been an interesting day, and we only got through half the stuff that we had up on the stack too, so, and we ran it a little bit long as well, but I wanted to get through some of this other stuff so we didn't end on Darrell E. Brooks Jr. and only having gone through 7 news stories for an entire... What did we go? I don't know, because it reset the timer when we started over after we lost the internet there. But anyway, we're going to head out of here for the day. Thanks everybody who came out here, chatted with us in the live chat. Come back and join us again tomorrow for more news, more commentary, and more contemporary. Definitely looking forward to that. Definitely looking forward to seeing you guys here. I don't know who we're going to raid, by the way, because, well, it turns out that I'm chat banned from Nephora's channel. I don't know why either. I asked, and I got booted from the Discord when I asked. So apparently she doesn't like the fact that we don't toe the big party line with English politics. I don't know. She's English too, so it's not like she's into U.S. politics. But I can sit and complain about that, or I can move on with my life. But anyway, come back and join us here tomorrow for more news, more commentary, more contemporary. Definitely looking forward to seeing you guys here. Looking forward to seeing what comes out of this, and I really want to see the sovereign citizen thing play out. This is going to be hilarious. See you guys here tomorrow, 7:30 a.m. Central Time for more news. Take care, and until then, I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Take care.